Britain's nuclear-powered hunter-killer submarines are in a state of constant alert.
Submarines are key to the first line of defence of the United Kingdom.
Threat submarine in the area.
Part-submerged spy.
One contact visual.
It's about making sure that harm doesn't reach our shores.
Part-deadly weapon.
If this is a ship of war, it is designed to inflict damage anywhere to deliver violence to the enemy.
Historically, it's been a closed world.
With silent service, we don't generally talk about ourselves.
Smash on a course of 091.
But for the first time, a British submarine on patrol, as we follow HMS Turbulent on her final deployment. It's the story of 130 men in an isolated, cramped...
So I just want to phone you up to tell you how much I love you.
On a mission where discipline is paramount.
You get the odd fight. In 3 months you've been in front of me twice, which I think is unacceptable.
Teamwork is crucial.
We're a brotherhood that drive this submarine. Amazing, isn't it? Middle of the ocean, British submarine, British helicopter, doing their jobs.
And danger is ever present.
You're not sure when everything's going to go wrong. Because obviously we've got a nuclear reactor, so everything has to be done in a safe procedure. You'll have seen the news with regards to Libya.
Unknown vessel, this is Surface Submarine. You are approaching me in a threatening manner.
As they sail through the Mediterranean and into the troubled waters of the Middle East. In this episode, preparing for the pirates.
RPG! Pointed at the submarine!
A bad day for Buster. Dirty jobs and the men who do them.
I'm going to wash my hands now because that's come out of someone's arse.
And going into action.
We are to go to 2 hours notice to fire as soon as we arrive in the theatre.
HMS Turbulent, £500 million worth of nuclear-powered submarine, is at home in Devonport, the largest naval base in Western Europe. After nearly 30 years active service, Turbs is facing her last mission before being scrapped. These final hours of preparation are the most vital of any mission. The crew's last chance to get the boat stocked and in shape for the journey ahead. After they leave Plymouth, their route will take them through the Mediterranean and beyond the Suez Canal to join the international effort to combat piracy in the Indian Ocean. It's going to be a long and arduous mission.
I was always told that you would not go to sea for any more than 4 months at a time. So when they said 8 months, I was quite shocked.
For many of the men, it will be the longest time they have spent away from their families.
It can never not be traumatic, leaving your loved ones, your siblings.
It does put a lot of stress on your family not seeing them again for 284 days.
Some of them are taking it particularly hard.
I'm recently engaged and she is very supportive. It's a big ask.
I've got a little 10-month-old son at home. I think I'm going to miss him a lot. Definitely.
They'll spend the coming months crammed together in a tiny space.
The submarine is 84 metres long. There's 130 of us in a steel tube, and you've got to be quite mentally strong, I suppose, to do it.
And they are relying on a boat coming to the end of its working life.
Imagine if you were to take a 30-year-old car to Singapore, drive to Singapore, enter the Singapore Grand Prix and then drive it back. That's kind of an analogy.
More mechanically complex than the space shuttle. Per cubic inch, they have more science packed into them than any other warship. As a hunter-killer designed to pursue and attack enemy shipping and bomb onshore targets, Turbulent carries a ferocious armory
that when it's gone, it's going to hit the target with pinpoint accuracy. And as I said, that target could be over 500 miles from the submarine.
37-year-old Welshman Lieutenant Commander Gareth Jenkins is the boat's second in command. As well as Tomahawk, Turbulent also carries the extraordinarily powerful Spearfish torpedo.
If you fire and use a surface ship, it's designed to find out where the ship is and it will detonate a number of meters below the hull, create a massive air bubble which will lift the ship out of the water, break its back, and then it'll sink.
3 tons.
Heard of terrible stories of logistics officers not ordering enough tea bags on submarines, and then tea bags having to be reused and dried out. So it's a British submarine. If we don't have tea, then it's not going anywhere.
And every last inch of the boat must be checked for noise reduction. Success, and at sea there will be no second chances. 2-year-old Commander Ryan Ramsey. He joined the submarine service in 1991 and has passed one of the world's toughest selection processes to take command of this vessel.
It is an enormous responsibility being the captain of a nuclear submarine. But my biggest responsibility is to my crew, to make sure that we get to where we're going and we do it safely. What makes a good submariner? I think the biggest one is sense of humour. I think it's vital. You have to be able to get on with people, and also the drive to ensure that you're there to support your friend, your shipmate, and that you're never going to let them down. I think those are the 2 key things that make a good submariner.
Before Turbulent sets off, 2 young crew members are initiated into the Submariner fraternity.
Right then, our 2 newest recruits to the Brotherhood. They've proven to us as a group that they're safe to stay on board HMS Turbulent and serve her on her process to join the Brotherhood properly.
Traditionally, the Submariner's insignia, the dolphins, are placed in a large glass of rum.
At no point should you swallow your dolphins. It's very, very bad for you. Okay, so catch them in your teeth. Right, so first one, Headley. Deep breath, that's it. Okay, now Mr. Westwood.
Before the boat can put to sea. As executive officer, Gareth is the boat's enforcer. He runs final checks to make sure the crew is working in harmony.
Imagine we're at sea with 130 men, some of whom may not been to sea before, so the men first have to prove that they know how to operate the submarine safely. Anything from something as simple as putting a positional fix on a chart to firing a missile to looking after the nuclear reactor. We're all got links in the chain. If we take any one man out of the chain, then the chain breaks and we can't function.
They've got one chance to get it right.
It's beating on usual suspects.
Once we go to sea, we are entirely self-sufficient. We'll have enough food on board, material spares, to stay at sea for over 100 days should we need to.
It's the day of departure. Viking photo.
Say, key looking, it's very nice, big smiles.
And Turbulent is on her way.
And out we go. It's good news.
The men of HMS Turbulent are off to face the first real test of their mission. HMS Turbulent is on her last mission. Her crew's first task is to prove their operational capacity to members of the elite naval training team, Flag Officer Sea Training, aka FOSS. They are here to put the crew through their paces. The mission can't continue until Turbs has passed their series of stringent tests.
We've made a name for ourselves, and reputation is always hard won and easily lost. For me, failure is not an option. I'll drive this through to conclusion and make sure we pass, but there is a risk.
Submarines are built to work underwater. They are at their most vulnerable when on the surface. This mission is going to be particularly trying for Turbulent, as there are several choke points where they are forced to surface. The Strait of Gibraltar, which takes them into the Mediterranean, and the Suez Canal and Bab el-Mandeb, two areas where the high risk of pirate and terrorist attack will have to be negotiated. General-purpose machine guns are the main deterrent for an attack. The crew do this drill using live ammunition.
We're limited to 2 GP.
The next part of the exercise involves other crew members, so the ammunition is dispensed with. What a pirate or terrorist attack Turbs might face. The FOSS inspectors will be looking to see how well the crew deals with such an attack while they are surfaced.
Speed of approximately 20 knots. 2 personnel, no weapons. Now 20 starboard, drawing right, range 500 yards. 20 east, drawing right, sir. Get the submarine.
Bridge, enter, take target, take target. This is RPG pointed at the boat. Right, what are you going to do, guys?
At first, the gun crew appear to have the attackers covered, but then the would-be pirates spring a nasty surprise.
On the stern, 50 yards.
By attacking Turbs from the stern, its weakest point, they have exposed a vulnerability.
He's not in your weapon arms, you need to let him know. You two talk to one another.
The machine gun arts have a blank spot.
GPMG is doing nothing.
Loaded weapons.
Both personnel seen dead, sir. Headshots.
The bad guys have been dealt with, but the FOSS inspector still feels there's a problem.
I think in summary, sir, what has been highlighted is your vulnerability, your limitations up there. If threats from the stern or head on, you just haven't got the arcs.
Okay, thanks very much, and thanks for the training. And we've got to get this right, because actually, this is one of our key vulnerabilities. We're not designed to be on the surface, we're designed to be... Okay, thanks very much. Thanks, sir.
Gentlemen.
In the midst of all this, the everyday life of the boat goes on. The XO and coxswain's rounds are designed to ensure that standards don't slip.
As the executive officer, I'm in charge of maintenance of the boat internally and externally, and the coxswain, the disciplinarian, is the man to make sure the boys are doing the job that's required of them.
We live in a confined environment, and we need to make sure the boats get clean, so the atmosphere is clean and healthy for us to breathe. And also, with a lot of sensitive equipment on board, we need to make sure that dust and dirt is kept under control. So nothing's been done in here? Pretty square, ringing?
No, it's pretty minging in there.
I have 3 people who would like to move into this bunk space if the standard can't be maintained. So I'll leave you in the bunk shop or the bunk space. Your choice. I know I'd rather sleep.
Mr. Jordan,
Right, sir?
you've seen the daily orders today, have you?
I have,
Person
sir.
to be clean shaven, that includes you.
I have read the orders, sir, but
Right.
clearly I haven't got to that part, sir. I shall have a shave as soon as possible, sir.
Yeah, shave and report to me in 15 minutes.
15 minutes, sir. I'll see you in 10, sir. We have the simple daily orders, which is basically we have the day, what we're doing, what the plans are. But it also says to be clean shaven every morning, and I clearly didn't get to that bit yet, and as you can tell, I've just been picked up by the executive officer, and then he wants me to go and report to him in 15 minutes. So I think in 10 minutes I shall go grovelling with an apology whilst being clean shaven. Close enough for government work.
With over 5 years on the boat, Marine Engineer Dan Gardine knows HMS Turbulent like his own home, if not better. He's a forward wrecker, working on the heavy machinery systems at the front of the boat.
Mr. Gardine, that's better. Forward.
Thank you very much, sir.
When it comes to discipline, however, there are much more serious matters than facial hair. In a system where a weak link can cause the chain to break, everyone must play their part. Anyone not doing so is a potential problem for the whole submarine, and infractions must be dealt with. As the boat's coxswain, Paddy Parsons acts as on-board policeman. He now has to deal with the case of Andrew Buster Brown, who was 14 and a half hours late back from leave before the boat deployed. A man of many careers, including a spell, he hasn't got his dolphins yet, and he's a new boy on turbs.
Okay, so why were you absent for that period of time on board? I was meant to be getting a lift. I was on the dole, it's really hard to get a job, and I thought my life needed a bit more of a different direction, something a little bit structured, something I've never really had before, so I decided to join up. Well, one is they've been a submarine, or they've been on a submarine, and well, not many people I knew before I did this job, in fact anybody, and it's good, I enjoy it.
So I'll meet you then, yeah?
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Obviously, I came in late. I should have been in. I probably could have got in earlier. I couldn't have got in on time, but I could have got in earlier. So definitely going to have to be a bit of an answer. So we'll see what happens.
Buster will now face a cap deciding. The final phase of Turbulent's proving period is to show they are war-ready in an all-out exercise involving the military might of NATO's combined forces in the area.
We're in the middle of the Thursday War, as it's known. Lots of surface ships, aircraft, helicopters all over the place. Now in the process of getting ready to engage one of the heavies.
Range is 11,000 yards.
Should they be called into action, they could be tasked with launching a spearfish torpedo against enemy shipping. Although this is a simulated exercise, getting it right is crucial, for the time could soon come when it's for real.
Okay, all ports, stand by the fire master at 2.
Stand by the fire masters at 2.
Weapon system ready. Fire! Weapon please, all main.
Bad explosion,
It's a hit, and the captain's happy.
With the submarines, it's great. We can just go around shooting things and building up our skills, dealing with cable opposition when you...
Through 3 days of inspections and 2 weeks of intensive exercises, the crew has given it their all. Now they must await Frost's verdict.
Men, this is the captain, pay attention.
Finally, the captain has news.
Well done on your hard work, but we've still got some work to do. There's some bad guys out there as well, and we need to be able to deal with anything that they put in our direction. So you need to keep focused right the way through this, and then do what we have to do for the United Kingdom. That's all.
It has passed, and now they can get underway to join the anti-piracy campaign east of Suez. The day has arrived for Buster's captain's table, his disciplinary hearing for being late back from leave. As well as any immediate punishment he faces, there's the stain on his record, which could affect his hopes of staying in the Navy.
Able Seaman Brown. Sir. Able Seaman Brown. Off. Cap. As your commanding officer, I'll be hearing the charges against you. Are you able Seaman Andrew Brown 3011665? You are charged as follows. Coxswain, read the charge.
Sir, able seaman work leave, namely 14 hours and 55 minutes.
Do you admit or deny the charge? Do you or your assisting officer on your behalf wish to make a plea in mitigation?
Wish to make a plea in mitigation, sir.
Cox.
Sir, it's fair to say that Brown has not gone off to the best of starts during the short time he's been on board HMS Turbulent. He would like to take this opportunity to express his regret. He realises there is no real excuse for his absence, but he has been under a great deal of pressure in his personal circumstances with his girlfriend. Finally, Brown wishes to apologise to you for all the...
I find the charge proved. I believe that you've shown true remorse for what you've done. But you should realise that this is a disciplinary measure and it will be recorded in your documents. Furthermore, as an administrative measure, I'm going to place you on a level 3 warning for discharge shore. This will be reviewed in 3 months, by which point you must have made improvement, otherwise you will be released from the Royal Navy. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
This hearing is now concluded.
Able Seaman Brown on cap. Right turn, quick march, right wheel. Let's carry on, sir.
Yes, please.
I'm planning on getting my passport done, keeping my head down, keeping out of trouble. And yeah, just getting on with the journey. It's going to be a long one. I want to make it as easy as I can, you know. I don't want to... I just want to make it as easy as I can, basically.
Turbulent is on course for its mission in the Indian Ocean to help fight the scourge of piracy. But then news comes through that will change everything.
You have seen the news with regards to Libya. It's becoming increasingly unsettled and we need to be prepared to do everything in the region. And that involves heavy warfare discipline.
Turbulent is being diverted to help support the UN mission in Libya, over 1,000 miles away. The pressure is on to get there as fast as possible as events escalate in the North African country. All Group is a daily meeting of the boat's heads of
that took place last week. But fierce fighting is still raging between ground units and cities peripheral to the rebel stronghold of Benghazi. I think that the Middle Eastern popular unrest is going to be a feature of the next number of months.
Okay, thanks. Spent over 8 months preparing for this. All in all, everything we've done is prepared for this deployment to get on and do what we have to do, and the focus shift has to change now. So the men are motivated. I get that feeling when I wander around. Now we need to channel that accordingly. And there's 2 busy operational theatres we're now going to go to. You've heard the political update. You've seen the news yourselves. You know how busy it is in both the theatres that we're going to operate in.
We just sailed as if we were going on a normal deployment, and then you hear a reply from the captain saying what's going on, and I'm going to go, well, it's kind of real now.
HMS Turbulent has been urgently rerouted to join the UN mission off the coast of Libya. She must get there as soon as possible, and as a submarine, she's fastest when submerged. Diving the boat is a major part of the submariner's art, and control is the key. It's a highly complex maneuver involving over 225 individual and operational checks.
XO done Submarine.
XO Gareth Jenkins is in charge of the dive.
Very good. 1 and 2 main vents. 1 and 2 main vents.
Vents are open to let water rush in and air rush out, allowing the submarine to submerge.
4 minute exit.
The captain monitors whether the dive is going to time. As the water pressure on turbs increases, checks are made for leaks. nuclear-powered submarine is completely self-sufficient. The only limit on its endurance, its ability to stay submerged, is its stocks of food.
Laura, scanning reports.
Turbulent is back in her natural environment. Underwater life continues as normal to men.
I love it. I don't know what drew me to submarines. I've always imagined what it was like as a kid to be on a submarine. When I initially went through my basic training, I thought, what the bloody hell am I doing? You know, this small tin can, what do I want to do this for? But on the flip side of the coin, it's a job that you can take pride in. It's not something everyone gets to do. It's a bit of a dangerous job. You pay good money, and it's a good adventure. Every day's an adventure, and no day's exactly the same as the one before.
Every submariner has several jobs on board the boat, and Gardine's are among the least glamorous.
Nobody likes watching somebody else's dirty nippers and socks, so we get a little bit of money out of it, you know, for doing it, which is not too bad really, because it can be a bit monotonous and it can be a bit boring, especially when the washing's up to here, waist height, and you've got to plough all the way through it. If we're on patrol, or we're going in a quiet state, then we have a tendency to try not to wash unless it's important, like chef whites, overalls, and tea towels, things for hygiene.
Even domestic chores like this can have an impact on the boat's operation. Sound can travel hundreds of nautical miles through the water, and the washing machines on board have to be exceptionally quiet to avoid detection.
We've got some very intelligent washing machines and tumble dryers, so we can actually put them on an extremely quiet wash so the enemy can't detect us and can't detect the vibration through the washing machines.
If variety is the spice of life, then being an engineer on a submarine answers all Dan's needs.
I'm a jack of all trades really, a bit of a handyman. Some of the good things about my jobs are you get qualified working with hydraulics, you work with multi-million pound systems and you're actually trusted to repair them. One of the bad things about my job is also I work with the sewage system as well, so if someone's blocked a shit house, it's my job to fix it. You imagine 120 beer drinking, curry eating submariners all on the same submarine with only 5 toilets. It happens quite frequently.
What's going on with the heads?
Broken macerator.
Well, just on that one. You were declogging, is that what they mean? Just doing that?
Unblocking it.
So we haven't blocked pipes?
No.
Okay, the rest all working. Alright.
This is calcium. The water that we drink on board strips the calcium from your bones and your body, and that little piece there is basically like concrete, and that's what happens to the pipes. It lines it up, and the little macerators, when they turn, they can't chew it up, so they burn out, kind of what's happened in here, and just block up. But I'm going to wash my hands now because that's come out someone's arse.
Good man.
Should be long. Put it back together.
With space at a premium, keeping fit on the boat is not easy, even though Navy rules demand it.
I think it's really important that if you're going to keep your mind alert, you need to keep physically active as well. Take into account how little space there is to walk around. It's pretty, you're sat down a lot for most of the job. Actually, this is exceptionally important, just to make sure you burn off enough calories and you're alert right the way through. And we're going to need that where we're just about to go into, we're going to need our wits about us.
Inevitably, with this many men on a boat, competition is massive.
There is a competition in the war gym, generally between the EXO Gareth, the MEO Ben, and the pilot Gareth Griffiths. They're about a minute ahead of me. I'm a minute behind them at times, but there's room for the old man to come in from the outside, I reckon. So the MEO's achieved 707, so just to give them a bit more focus, give that 705.
Submarine has already seen action in the area.
The lads are obviously aware that our sister submarine Triumph has fired a Tomahawk missile possibility that we may be called upon to do the same. Our job at the moment is to remain ready for our primary tasking, which is to go east, whilst tempering that with the fact that yes, we may be called upon to strike, and be ready to do so when called forward.
19 people
Trap 429 bulkhead. Because we're a weapon for our political masters, actually, we're there to help them achieve whatever aim it is. So actually, we might get there and do nothing because there's no need to do anything at the time. But we need to be ready for the moment critique when they decide that military force is the thing that
needs to be used for its primary purpose. The bomb shop doubles up in a number of ways. Today, it's a dental surgery. Members of the crew are trained as on-board medics, able to deal with everything from a toothache to a heart attack. This sort of self-sufficiency means the boat's operations are interrupted for only the most serious emergencies.
There we go. You come through where you are, Buster. Good stuff. Something that might get smoke on.
That's all you can see when you've got forceps in a big kit in your mouth anyway.
Go through my voice and then take that out. Okay. That must be one of the better ones I've done then. Okay, so watch for us.
The short wheeled at 1300. Submarine is currently 180 miles north of Cap Finisterre in Spain, with 888 miles to run to the Strait of Gibraltar. The weather up top is fine and the sea state is low.
19-year-old able seaman Edward Timpson, aka Timo, has only been on the boat 7 months. But he's born.
My uncle, my cousin, my brother, well, quite an able family really. At sea I'm looking after forward staff, which is fresh water ventilation, and looking after the periscopes as well as fridges. So I'm looking after the bomb shop, making sure the weapons are fine. That's my main responsibilities. We're going to be measuring for hot-up fuel that powers the spearfish torpedo. I'm a really young lad, and I've got a lot of responsibility. It's good. So we fill in our log, so there's been no reason. This is done every 6 hours.
Timo takes the hardships of life as the tallest man on board in his stride.
I'm 6'5", but walking about, because I'm quite aware of my height, I find I hit my head a lot less than people who are shorter than me, because they think, oh, I'm short, so I can get under that, whereas I think, I know I'm too tall for that, so I'm going to duck well beneath it. People who are short than me hit their head a lot more. You see people with cuts all over their head, you call it a hat crash. That's a feeling well.
Although he's come in at the lowest level, Timo has ambitions of becoming an officer. One of his most important jobs is in the heart of the control room. As periscope assistant, he looks after the needs of the men who are the eyes of the boat.
He's looking out all the time, so anything else that he needs to do should be done by somebody else. So he shouldn't have to think of anything except looking out there and keeping the submarine safe.
It's also his duty to make sure those on the periscope don't work over their allotted time.
Range, on top.
If they stay on there too long, strain your eyes. That's obviously bad for them in the long run. But a fresh set of eyes can also see different maximum. 10 minutes double search. There's no alternative to something looking out and actually seeing.
For long periods, the men on periscope are the only ones to see above the surface. Under the sea, night and day can roll into one for the men on turbulent. They work in shifts, a constant and exhausting 6 hours on, 6 hours off. At any point, half the crew could be asleep. With only 98 bunks for 130 crew members, some of them must share.
42 people are hot bunking. That means that as one man gets out of bed, another man who's just come off watch gets into the same bed. So something like E.T. Simpson, you hot bunk, don't you? E. Simpson shares a rack with E.T. Tune. They'll be opposite watches. E.T. Simpson's in second watch, so when he goes to off watch at 1900 this evening, he'll get into the bed that is currently occupied by his shipmate E.T. Tune.
You got. Nobody's ever happy to be woken up, but you've got to get them up on time, otherwise they'll miss their lunch. That means that I don't get into bed. So quicker they get up, the quicker I can get into bed. So it's in my interest to do it on time.
This is what we call hotel living accommodation. I have about 14 inches between me and the metal decking. When you first join a boat, have a tendency to get coughing dreams, which is where you're sort of either semi-conscious or still asleep, but because you can't move anywhere, you can't roll over, you have a tendency to think that you're in a coffin or you're locked in a box, and a lot of guys have nightmares when they first join up, worrying that they can't get out, and things are caving in on them. I used to have them, or I've had them a couple of times, but not so much anymore, so I think it just comes, you just get used to it.
Turbulent is about to enter the Mediterranean on her way to Libya, one of the choke points on the mission. She must navigate it on the surface, a vulnerable position for any submarine. HMS Turbulent is in the Strait of Gibraltar, heading for its new destination, Libya.
This is one of 3 choke points that we need to get through. At the moment, the vulnerability is posed by the fact that submarines are designed to be underwater. We're relatively slow on the surface. The waterborne threats, whether it be from Al-Qaeda or whether it be from other organisations, that may take this as an opportunity to have a go. This is where that can happen.
As the gateway to the Mediterranean, the strait is one of the world's busiest shipping lanes, but the captain is not just concerned with the risk of collision. Even the most innocuous ships must be cleared.
Ask the owner.
As the owner, this is submarine on your starboard bow. This is only the very beginning. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and we need to make sure that everything we tailor takes that into account. We need to provide Tomahawk capability, intelligence gathering capability for a period of over 9 months.
With the Strait of Gibraltar safely behind her, Turbulent now needs to go.
I'll support the stake of the Vex versus flat belt, no?
Soon they will be going into theatre, and they will need to be even more aware of the dangers of life on board a submarine.
The reason we do damage control training is even in a well-maintained submarine such as this, emergencies do happen. I've been at sea where we've had a hydraulic burst, even a flood. The bottom line is mechanical things do go wrong and fires happen.
Drills like this are treated with the utmost seriousness. In the first phase, the crew attempts to extinguish the simulated fire. They know that just 4 years ago, men died in a real fire on their sister submarine, HMS Tyres. The shared experience of this daily danger is something that unites all submariners.
If we have fun, we can't dial 999 and fabricate. We have to be able to rely on each other to deal with any emergency that is put before us.
Right, okay, you're being beaten back now. Okay, you're being beaten back now, good stuff. Okay.
The crew has failed to extinguish the fire, so the second phase of the exercise kicks in. The designated fire team is now called in. First they have to get into full fire protection gear. Each submariner knows he holds the lives of the others in his hands, so being drilled to perfection is the difference between life and death. The fire has been successfully extinguished, but they will repeat this exercise often in the months to come. They can't afford complacency. As they approach the coast of Libya, The men are aware of the worsening situation as Colonel Gaddafi defies international calls to stand down and intensifies his attacks on the rebels opposing him. With the growing awareness that they may well be called into action, Turbulence Crew is experiencing its last days of normality. In the bomb shop, an English GCSE class is taking place for those hoping to improve their career prospects.
Time management is crucial to passing this exam. Read through the paper, read through the question before you try and answer the questions.
But then, even this last
Captain, listen up. Set the heads up and a personal force signal in that provides us with our tasking for the next 48 to 72 hours. Primary tasking is Tomahawk. We are to go to 2 hours notice to fire at approximately 08:30 tomorrow morning as soon as we arrive in theatre.
That means 8 hours on and 10% effort. Make sure we do what serves us best, which is deliver. That's it.
What I wanted it to do is load 2 Block 4s up to 3 or 4 tubes, but the 2 Block 3s that are in there be in a position that 4s are out the way, 3s are in.
In the wake of the captain's announcement, the temporary classroom returns to its primary purpose, the bomb shop. There's no panic, no rush, just a quiet, methodical efficiency that is the product of constant drilling and practice. Soon they will be ready to fire the devastatingly accurate Tomahawk missiles, capable of destroying a building up to 1,000 miles away.
Keep a good eye on the weapon. Ram, 1, 2, Ram, 1, 2.
I'll 1, 2. Rubber unlocked. Stand clear. Ramming 1, 2.
I know we can do Tomahawk, we can get it where it's supposed to be. It's just everything else needs to support that. I've got no reservations about what we're going to do. This is our job, as required by NATO and as required by the UK. So I've got no issue whatsoever in launching Tomahawk if required to do so.
That is the whole purpose of Submarine, is to deliver violence to the enemy. There's no point beating about the bush. This is a ship of war. It is designed to inflict damage on other people. It's one of those things, it's kind of personal, isn't it? If you I'm sure if we ever did go to war with anybody, there'd be the soul searching, but that's done off watch in your bed, or that's your own personal thing to do.
Now they are off the coast of Libya. Turbulence weapons are primed, and as the reality of the situation hits home, they get the Libyan capital Tripoli in their periscope sights.